Hello there. Hello, hello, hello. I am going to bet every penny that I have that not one of you, if even one of you, is still here after all this time, ever expected me to come back. And I'll be honest, I was same mentality. For the sake of interest, though, I'm going to do my best to try and talk, I know it's been a long time, but I'm going to try and, play while uh, telling my story, you know, explaining myself, as it were, even though there's probably not even one of you left to explain to. I'm going to do it anyway, just in case. Because if you're still here, one of those 17 blessed souls that subscribe to my ratty little channel, uh, you are worth explaining to. So, first off, let's talk about what happened. Where did I go? Why did I leave? If anybody cared. Um, but you know what? The reason I left was something anybody would care about if they knew. If a stranger told you about it, it was that bad. Um, and it's going to get kind of heavy. And I'm going to do my best to talk, while playing. But I might have to go hide in a corner and explain. Don't worry, I'll do a cool emote or something. But let's go ahead and sprint through this nonsense. Y'all have fun. So, been 8 years. Where the hell did I go? Why did I quit? And by the way, just gonna put this right out here. Part of my whoops. Part of my whole shtick with bringing the channel back at all is to bring something to the table that I think is badly needed. Well, not badly needed. Once again, can't go back and edit that because of the nature of the new channel, but or the channel revival. I hate how you just warp away. Missed me. From point blank range, mind you. So. Yeah, growling. Oh, crap. Oh, oh, wow. Well, that stunk. Anyway, where even was I? I've been so scatterbrained. There's a lot to cover. But something I wanted to do with this channel. Let me just go back to what I was saying. Why did I leave? Because that's pretty huge. You know what? It's worth sitting down for. So, um, you know what? I'm gonna walk by the seaside as I share. And how fitting is rain. So, ooh, what's this message? I'm not, no, I'm not chancing that. So, you can tell I don't want to talk about it. Exactly. And it's not that I don't want to share. It's just, it's hard. And after being gone for so long, it's kind of like, oh, hey, I'm glad you came back. Thanks for depressing me. But there's a lot of happiness at the end of this, which, when I tell you what happened to make things stop, be kind of hard to believe at first. So, you know what? I'm going to turn off the HUD. I'm going to sit here on the beach while it rains. Sorry. 1 second. There we go. So, my mom died. There it is. My mom died, and it was within a month. I can't even remember what month I stopped posting to YouTube, but I know that it was within a month or two. My mom and I had actually to put this into perspective. People have different levels of relationship with their mom. You know, if you had at least a half decent one, you know, you think of her fondly and you love her. But my mom was so much more than half. My mom was. Everybody thinks they've got the best mom in the world. I win. I had the best mom. Um, Feel free to argue that, but um, she and I had a truly incredible friendship. Um, my wife and I are soulmates. My mom and I were something similar but deeply different. Um, my wife and I, by the way, surprise, I'm married now. My fiance and I got married about a year after my mom died. It's things that happened after that also extenuated my being away and decided thinking I was never going to come back. But my mom and I understood each other. It's almost like our souls were shaped the same. It's like rather than, you know, like a soulmate complete, you know, two people complete each other. She and I, it's almost like we were made of the same kind of stone, and all of our cracks were the same shape, and all of our, you know, polished parts, all of our brittle parts were so we understood each other incredibly well. Uh, I've never known somebody, even um, in some ways, my wife. My wife will sometimes say, I wish she was here because she'd be able to help me understand. Not that my wife and I have, well, we have our struggles, but we adore each other. So, getting ahead of myself, my mom and I actually started a very short lived channel about a month before she passed away. This is back before we had any idea that the end was coming. And it's called Dr. J Tries. And it was a very sweet idea. Basically, she'd spent most of her life and almost all of mine kind of looking down on video games, looking at them as kind of, you know, at best silly and at worst an enormous waste of time or even corrosive. And near the end of her life, which we never knew at the time, she gave him a chance. She kind of opened her eyes a bit and was like, maybe I should evaluate this a little more closely. And she was flabbergasted. She was shocked at how much, like, how special games could be. And we didn't even get to play that many of them. But the reason I mention it is because the last video posted on that channel was posted about 20 minutes before I learned that my mom had been diagnosed after a month of losing essentially a pound a day. She'd been diagnosed with large, you know, non-Hodgkin's large B-cell lymphoma. And for those who don't know, that is essentially cancer of the lymph nodes. And what we should have realized, but we're kind of naive about because they kind of purposely kept, my mom and dad kind of purposely kept us in the dark, is that the lymph nodes are essentially all over your body and are a highway of sorts. And you get cancer in your lymph nodes, the cancer's ability to spread is far greater. And by the time they found it, the doctors weren't even brave enough to tell them this is stage 4, it's over. For better or for worse, you know, cowards. But that bitterness aside, my mom, they kind of sped her into chemo, and my mom did not make it a week into chemo. And I'm not going to go into any more detail about that. Maybe in the future, probably in the future, because my mom was the kind of person who would want to share that or want me to share that so that maybe my pain can reach out to somebody else's and act as a lifeline, which is kind of the point of the channel returning at all. But we'll get to that in a bit. Basically, my mom's death was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And there have been a few close calls since then, but nothing quite that hellish. And for about a year, I was in an abyss. I was not really living. I was eating my feelings. I was sleeping half the day and burying myself in, you know, just trash video games, trying to just escape the pain of the real world. And eventually, it kind of reached a boiling point, and me and my, fiance at the time, um, we moved in together, separate rooms. We're very old-fashioned. We're Catholic, proudly so. We slept in separate rooms and kept things, old-fashioned. Um, but she was my lifeline. She was basically the one thing pulling me out of that darkness, and it was a hell of a battle. Um, and thankfully, I've never been the type to like, try drinking or smoking or drugs. But um, it was almost like I just stopped caring. Which if you've experienced that kind of grief, I'm sure you understand. But at that point, my wife and I resolved that the marriage that we had wanted for so long couldn't wait anymore. And when you know it, right in the middle of that, what should strike but COVID and fuck everybody up. And it's funny though when I look back on it. Everybody looked at 2019 as like the last good year before COVID, and looked at 2020 as like the worst year ever. And I look back on it as 2019 was the worst year ever, and 2020 was the best, at least for me, because I finally got to marry the love of my life. And we have been together as husband and wife for about yeah, gonna be 7 years this June, June 13th. And my only regret was that my mom couldn't be there, but she was. She was in spirit. I know that. But that being said, married life, we quickly picked up pace. Finding work after COVID was kind of rough. My old computer, or poor battered potato that had no business playing anything that I had been playing on it for the channel. I should have known by the gray grain of, I don't know, textures frying to death in front of me. I should have realized at that point, hey, I don't think my computer can do this. This is a $400 Walmart computer. But that being said, as you can see, I'm clearly not playing on a Walmart computer. But with that depressing stuff out of the way, I think we can go back into the fray of things. Let me turn the HUD back on. I'm not that good yet. Anyway, so married life rapidly picked up pace. And before we know it, thanks to a bout of COVID, fun fact, COVID can mess with your cycles if you're a woman. And I'll never forget the day that my wife shook me awake and said, "We're pregnant." And imagine you're just like, oh, sleep. Oh, it feels so wonderful and nice. And the world is different now. It just instant change. And first, you're obviously terrified. But we both were, but we very quickly embraced it with excitement, with hope. I don't know why I picked a fight with that guy. I guess I was just looking to swing at somebody. But I mean, basically we, embraced it and decided, well, we've got to move because we live in an apartment in Columbus. I'm not going to tell you any more about where I live, but I mean, I like it, but not that much. But what was it? I started working at a wonderful place where I met a very dear friend who this channel is largely being revived for, because he likes to hear about video games, but he doesn't have any. He's got a Wii, and that's about it. And I'm kind of shocked that his Wii is still in working condition, unless you knew him. If you knew him, of course his Wii would be in working condition, because that man can make things work like 5 times past their expiration date. It's crazy. But that being said, worked with that guy for about 4 years. Moved to work for another position Two babies later, yeah, 2 babies later, I've got 3 kids now. And that was, pretty close around the time that something else happened that's pretty important, which is that we learned that my son, our first kid, we have 2 sons and a daughter, and we love them all, obviously. But my first boy, my firstborn, whose name is Dante. Surprise! I named him after Dante from Devil May Cry. Fight me. But Dante has a unique genetic mutation, and less than 500 people in the world share it. It's called, it's pretty much just known as FOXP1 syndrome, and it explained a lot about his difficulties growing up and his, susceptibility to illness, why regular illnesses would affect him so horribly. He'll end up in the ER with a cold. But basically, it really changed our lives and put the lot into perspective. And we spent a lot of time suffering, not because of him. I mean, that was a pain. There were a few times we suffered with him just because he almost died. At least 3 times, and 3 times that were really close calls. There are other times that were kind of dicey, but never that far. So obviously, for somebody in that position, with all of that happening, becoming a father, the father of my other 2 children don't have any, disorders. They're perfectly wonderful, although they do have their own challenges. But I apologize if you're as lost as I am in terms of this info dump. But I'm going to try to keep it up, and I hope that we'll stick through it so that we can get to the point of it all, which is what the channel's for and how it's going to be different and how it's going to be special. Because I'll be frank, I'm very aware of how not special it was, considering, what... Oh, shoot. Jeez. They always gets me, that guy. There we go. Get rid of you. I'm about to stop talking for a couple of minutes because of the ball. Oh, no. Oh, this is what I get for monologuing while trying to play. Get used to more of that. Whoop. At least the path will be clear. But you can see why, with everything happening, like, the idea of coming back to a channel that was not growing, was overloaded with videos that were, maybe there was some humor in them. I mean, you subscribed for a reason, right? But it had some humor in them, but like the visuals were terrible. The conditions I was filming them in were not at all good. Like the computer I was working with was like a potato. It just, none of it worked out, right? And you know what? In this, my wife is calling me. I will continue this in part 2. Hopefully, you'll stick around for that. Ow.